me. This is the current interruption. We want to expand the horizon of Tamil studies with the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary areas, theories, methodologies, not only in literature and language but also on cultural studies. Taking advantage of the enormous, I have told, the facilities offered by JNU, which is really a great, truly a great Indian institution of very high eminence in any international standards. So then the fourth is to encourage intensive interaction between the Tamil scholars and other scholars in other disciplines, other languages. And fifth is to explore and to expand the facilities of international cooperation by entering into MOUs with other international academic institutions. Because of my contacts with them, I work in Germany and Poland and elsewhere. So it was also in my mind to make the interaction more, to make it more international, to enter. And then sixth is to encourage the faculty to undertake projects, individual projects to achieve our goals. So this was the background, and to achieve that we are able to start, I could appoint another gentleman, Dr. Chandrasekharan, because I was designated as the professor of Tamil by JNU University Grants Commission funds. And so the fund provided by the Tamil Nadu government was made to create another position in the form of a lecturership in which Dr. Chandrasekharan was appointed. And so we together jointly organized the program, and we started MPhil PhD program with the new state-of-the-art syllabus and curriculum and study, with the help of our other colleagues, the Urdu and Hindi colleagues in the center. And then there was a lot of admission. We admitted a lot of MPhil and PhD scholars, and I think that is growing, and it has helped us to train a pool of talent for scholars, not in the traditional way of learning Tamil. They are multidisciplinary, they are multilingual scholars who can translate, who can do comparative studies. That is the main focus of our program. So main focus of the program is to take multilingual and multidisciplinary studies, making the translation compulsory and comparative studies. And because of that, now I can see a new band of scholars who can do translations between languages at a higher level. And then I could also initiate measures to enter into an MOU, and I could get an MOU with the University of Köln from Germany. Because of that, two of our scholars went to Köln for a few semesters and got trained. And later, that could not be renewed. I don't know what happened. So this is the background. And then, on our personal part, myself, I thought of doing some project for which because my special training is in grammar and linguistics and classical literature, classical science. And the fund is also meant for propagating the classical Tamil studies. So I'm also specializing in TOLKÄPPIYAM. So I thought that the TOLKÄPPIYAM was not translated into Hindi at that time fully, maybe some part by Kasharam and others. And everybody was requesting me, my colleagues and outside scholars like Professor Uday Singh, whoever I met, why don't you do that? And so So I actually at the time I had the fortune of getting the help of Professor H. Balasubramanian. He is a great noble soul. He is how to say, he's a great soul. He is a great scholar, multidisciplinary scholar, and very hard working. He passed away at the age of 90. Till his last breath, he was working. He used to come from Mayuruha in the morning. I will tell later the story. So I proposed, I invited him for a talk, and then we decided to undertake the translation of TOLKAPPIYAM. I'm only a scholar in Tamil. I know Hindi. I studied Hindi up to the school level, but it was not my area of specialization. So I cannot do that. So only a scholar in Hindi who has the background in grammar and linguistics can do that. Apart from that, Balasubramanian is a scholar in Sanskrit too. He specialized in Hindi grammar and Hindi linguistics, and his PhD was on the contrasting grammar of Hindi and Tamil. And moreover, I have a personal acquaintance with the family of Balasubramanian. Having lived in Trivandrum, I know the family of Hariharayya, his father. They have 3 sons and 1 daughters, and all of them are Hindi professors. And only the surviving professor is Salamel Krishnan, who also is appearing on the online from Chennai. And the other 3, that is Balasubramanian, Parameswaran, and Padmanabhan, all passed away recently. The family is a great family, originally hailing from Tirunelveli district. They are great scholars in Sanskrit and Tamil, and they mastered Malayalam. And so, when Balasubramanian joined in the Central India Directorate, I actually studied under him as a student. So, that was the opportunity, and so we had a personal relationship, and finally we decided to launch the project, and we approached the Central Institute of Classical Tamil, Chennai, and they agreed to do the funding. By the modern standard, it is a very meager fund, and the big chunk of the amount has yet to come for both of us. Already he left, and I don't know, and he is also not after money. Balasubramanian is a very, very academic man. He is not a materialist man. He used to come, we are attached to the project. He used to come from Mayuruha every day in the morning, and he used to work like a student. He will study all the commentaries of TOLKAPPIYAM, and come with, like a student, and will ask questions to me, and we both discuss, and he will come prepared with a draft, and we will sit together, read and finalize. And for 5 days, 3 days he will come, and sometimes he will come a few more days, even on Saturday. So that is how we work, and he was not only a great scholar and teacher, also a great student, like me. So we had a very, very close personal relationship, personal equation. We have a mutual respect. So he achieved a great feat. He is a great scholar. He translated many classical bhakti poem, modern literature, and everything into Hindi. From Hindi, he has translated Pondichéry, Reno, and other people's thing. And apart from the great translator, he is a man of, he is a humanist. Most of our students come from the very, how to say, very, very first generation learners, coming from very economically and otherwise deprived communities. And all of them, he treated them, though he is a Brahmin, he has no Brahminical taboos. So he treated them very well, and he trained them in Sanskrit and many other languages, even though he was not a faculty. But he worked like a faculty, and later I had the good fortune of inviting him to join the CAL as the visiting faculty with us, and he worked there for 2 years. Beyond 80, he could not follow, he could not continue that. So it was we were not able to continuous services. But in spite of that, he used to come every day and work with the students, and he was our third professor to train our students. So this is the background. Now I will be brief because there is another speaker. So with this input, I would say that TOLKÄPPIYAM, I am not also not going to elaborate. TOLKÄPPIYAM is the earliest texted grammar in Tamil, supposed to be written around the beginning of the first millennium, and it is a grammar which definitely has been influenced by Sanskrit tradition. He draw many things from the Sanskrit models. Actually, the main aspect of Tamil and Sanskrit grammar is, if you look at the whole world grammatical tradition, at least 6 or 7 grammatical traditions exist, starting from Babylonian, Egyptian, Arabian, Chinese, and Greek, Latin, and Indian tradition. So Indian tradition is actually very predominant, very eminent among this tradition. And among the Indian tradition, there are 2 streams you can see. The dominant is Sanskrit grammatical tradition, another is non-Sanskritic. In the non-Sanskritic tradition, Tamil tradition has a very important place. So, if you want to know the complete Indian grammatical tradition, you must also know about the non-Sanskrit tradition, especially the Tamil. So this was the idea when I joined there. Professor Amira invited me to offer a course in the Indian grammatical tradition in their linguistic course. I offered for 2 semesters, and it was enriching for me and also for the students to learn more about the things. So during that period, this TOLKÄPPIYAM, as I have told you, among the TOLKÄPPIYAM draws from many ideas from the Sanskrit tradition, and he was very generous in allowing the Sanskrit words to be used in literary compositions and even the earlier period. There was a very great generosity, I would say, and also, but at the same time, he was very careful to establish the autonomy of Tamil language. The autonomy of languages, that is Sanskrit and Tamil, they belong to different linguistic groups. No, when you talk about the linguistic families in India, there are predominantly now Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, and Austro-Asiatic, Chino-Tibetan, and of course, we will add this Andaman Nicobar. So the 5 family group. So India is a land of languages. It is a culture. It is a plural culture. It is a diversity. It is the diversity, the hallmark of Indian culture. Diversity in language, literature, culture, and everything. So this diversity should be promoted. So diversity is the essence of Indian, the quality Indian. How to say, Indian culture, the living as Indians. If you want to live in India, you must know not only the Sanskrit-based culture, you must the non-Sanskrit culture, Dravidian culture, Chino-Tibetan culture, or culture. I think our new president represents the Austro-Asiatic family. I am very happy that she is given that preeminent position. It is the way we will have to develop the tolerance, mutual respect, learning. I want to emphasize that there is an adage in Sanskrit, familiarity in English, familiarity breeds contempt. It is a wrong notion. Familiarity breeds love. That is the message you must learn from the Indian way of life. That is the message of Indian culture, Indian message. So India is a land of migrants, not like the United States. And maybe I am talking about migrants, I am not talking about the race, only the languages. It's a migration of languages. Among the languages, if you look at the who is autonomous, who is autonomous, who is origin, I would say that either the Austro-Asiatic and Tibeto-Burman and Dravidian languages could be more original to the land, and Indo-Aryan language came later. I am not talking about speakers. So, now Indo-Aryan speakers dominate in statistics, but many of the Indo-Aryan speakers are migrated from these three groups. See, especially many Dravidians migrated to the Indo-Aryan domain. So it's not, I'm not talking about the ethnicity, I'm talking about the language. So even though the languages are imported or native, now we have been living together for 2000 years. So one cannot be a monoculture, one cannot be a monolingual, one cannot be mono religion. It should be multiple. That is the message of India, and that is represented in JNU, and we want to strengthen that notion in JNU. That's why we have undertaken this project, and we have completed it, and it has been published by the Institute of Central India Institute of Classical Tamil, and it is beautifully brought out. But I have a few words about the translation. I cannot elaborate on the way how the Pondichéry has done. He's very chaste Hindi. He writes very good Hindi, even respected by Hindi scholars. I used to review it with our Hindi colleagues, and many of our colleagues, especially our Saha and other people, will reject many Hindi translations from Tamil. No, it is not at all Hindi. It looks like somewhere. But when I showed this translation to Saha or Raman Singha, they will say it looks Hindi. It is good. It is very, very intelligible. It is more familiar to us. So that is the hallmark of, that is the characteristic of Balasubramaniam. He imbibed a very native idiom, having lived in Delhi for many years. So his language, he also is a Sanskrit scholar. So he could bring in his knowledge in different domains. And so, if you want to, if you permit me, I can read one or two small passages, how he has translated. There is one aspect of love in Tamil where the extent, not the one who is one who is in love with other girl or other boy who are one-sided love. If they want to achieve that, they can make a stage dharna in front of the girl's house. It's called a model. A model is a kind of convention where the boy stages a dharna in between in front of the girl's house, making a horse with the stakes of pomera. Pomera has a sharp edges which will cut the flesh. He will ride on it, and he will draw a picture of that girl, and he will be sitting there in Dharna for many days, demanding the parents of the girl to give the girl in marriage. That is called model. And the same thing, the same method cannot be done by a girl out of modesty. So there is a sutra in TOLKÄPPIYAM, the third part, and our Balasubramaniam will translate it very beautifully, and he will give interpretation also. Our way of doing, I'm not going to go into detail. We give the original words and poetic translation, and then examples, and then notes, elaborate more. So actually the original project was just to transliterate and translate the original words. But we have added examples, we have added notes, that's why they come. They actually discouraged them not to do that. But we did it out of our love for this subject, and also to do justice to the work. So in the model, எத்தனை மருங்கினும் மகளோ மடல் மேல் பொற்புடை நிறுமி இன்மையான. So the girl cannot do this model or this stage dharma, and he will translate it like this. See, किसी भी कुल के धर्म में शोभनीय प्रथा नहीं है स्त्री का मॉडल पर चढ़ना, इसी से So I can give more examples. So the translation looks like as if it is Tamil for us. It could be more intelligible to the people. So I recall all the sweet, memorable moments with them in this occasion, and I congratulate Dr. Damodaran and his colleagues for continuing our work there and examining this, reviewing this work with inviting many scholars, organizing the event. And finally, since the Vice Chancellor is not there, I have one request that during my tenure as a chairperson, I tried to bring in more Indian languages into CAL, and as a result, I think I heard that Kannada and Odia, Assamese must have come. Odia, Kannada, I'm sure. I'm not sure about the other languages. Bangla has been there, but I don't know whether it has been filled up. And I would like to see that all Indian languages are represented in CAL, so that more fruitful cooperations and academic things will take place, so that our familiarity will breed love, not contempt. The contempt is outside the academic, in the political field. So with these few words, I congratulate all the organizers, all the people, and finally I have, normally I don't complain people, the people who publish this work, Central Institute of Classical Tamil has unfortunately did two mistakes, two omissions. One is they have omitted the glossary of grammatical terms. They have meticulously collected and organized. Tamil, Hindi, Tamil, glossary. It's a very valuable academic tool. Unfortunately, the editors, they listen to the opinion of the printers, the limits of pages, forms, things like that. They did not know the value of that. The editorial board may be ignorant editorial board, as I contempt that. They have omitted that good portion of that last pages very meticulously. Myself and Balasubramaniam prepared. I'm really very sorry for that. And then, it's a personal thing. Recently I found that Balasubramaniam was very generous in pricing and sharing credit. Actually, the project head is me. So this should go in my name. So he insisted, sir, it should come in your name. No, I can not. So this bulk of the work was done by you, so your name should appear first. I am only an assistant. So he is such a very noble soul. And so he wrote very generously about me, but all those passages our editors of this text have removed. This is not injustice to me, injustice to Balasubramaniam. I am sad to record this. Here I should not be negative on this occasion, but I felt it and it should be recorded. That's why I revealed this information to you. And with these remarks, I congratulate all the people who are connected with this, and I wish CAL and School of Languages, JNU, many more fruitful years with a new setup and new end blood. I hope it will develop into a great institution in the future. I wish you all the best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. It is the most awaited moment for us all. I cordially invited Professor Sujata Tripathi, Professor and Head, Department of Vyakaran, Sri Raghu Sastri, Sanskrit Vishwavidyalaya for the keynote address.
We are proceeding towards good afternoon, but I would like to say good morning to all of you, because this is the transition period we are heading towards. The translation of Tamil language in different languages, the collaboration of the languages. It's a very happy moment for all of us. And thank you to all. I'm missing Vice Chancellor ma'am right now, the Honorable Vice Chancellor. And but I will address the renowned scholars, Professor Mazhar Asaf Ali ji, Mazhar Asif ji, sorry for my pronunciation because these all words are very much new to me. Professor Damodaran ji, Professor Om Prakash Singh ji, Professor Anwar Alam ji, Professor Krishna Swami ji, and distinguished scholars, research scholars, students, and my dear friends. Best thing about books, they let you travel without moving your feet. And we should feel blessed we are talking about, we are discussing, and we are living with the books. So I take this wonderful opportunity to congratulate all the eminent scholars for the felicitation of their books, which surely is the incredible contribution to the world of literature. I feel honored to be a part of such a great scholarly event today. I found the book TOLKÄPPIYAM not only interesting but also very informative in relevance of Tamil grammar. This National Symposium on Translation of TOLKÄPPIYAM in Hindi edition is a great opportunity for the avid learners. The knowledge seekers like us will come to know